Hello and welcome to another video tutorial for Paramics Discovery version 24, which is coming this summer 2020. My name is Malcolm and it's a pleasure to be sharing this demonstration with you today as we look for the second week at a new feature of parking. Now last week we looked at how to model on-street parking, and this week we're going to look at off-street parking. Now I'm using the same model that we were using last week, which is of Douglas Town Centre. And if I right click and go to the map feature, I can see Douglas there, which is the largest town on the Isle of Man. Now, last time we looked at on-street parking on the promenade in Douglas, and there's lots of on-street parking along there. And this time we're going to be looking at some off-street parking. And there are several off-street car parks around the town centre, and we can see those there on the screen in front of us. So I want to model one of these today. It's the quayside parking lot I'm going to be looking at. So I'll go back to my Paramics Discovery model and zoom in at that location. Now, if I turn on my zones, I'll be able to see the zoning system around the quayside car park initially. So I've got zone 45 there. If I select that, I can see that zone portals are being used, and that is sending 70% of the traffic onto this link and 30% onto the traffic onto this link at the west using the zone portals feature. So at the moment, similar to what we were doing last time with on-street parking, the zoning system is a proxy for the car park. What we're going to do today is model that car park explicitly. So to do that, I need to build up the link network to represent the car park, and I'm just adding in these links using the adding link feature, which is very simple to use. So I'm going to add some more down here, and what I'm doing is matching what we saw on the quayside car park in the aerial image. So I'm merging that node, and I'll split this link so that I can get another node here, and then I'm going to add just one more link in there. So that's roughly the structure of the car park. Now, the next thing that I want to do is assign the appropriate links to the zone portals. Now, I can see if I select my zone again, zone portals actually disappeared because I split the link which zone portal 1 was on. So I'm going to select zone portal 1 and choose a different link this time at the north. And then the next link will be portal 2. And I'm going to remove the existing link from portal 2. I'll add another one, portal 3. And so you can see how easy it is to add new portals and add links to them. So I'm essentially making each portal one link, and that gives me complete control over how the parking bays are used, and it means that all the parking bays are going to be used as I define them. Now, just having a quick look at the map again, I can see that there's some parking just on the east side of the car park here, and so I'm going to add in some parking bays along there as well. Now I'm doing this quite quickly, and approximately, if you were doing this, you might take a little bit more time just to get the geometry of the network and the exact number of bays correct. But I've essentially assigned 8 portals there, or 8 different parking bays. Now the next step is to apply the demand percentages to each of those. And again, I'll just use some approximate values. So I think what I'll do is I'll put 15% in for portals 1 to 6. Those are the longer links, or the longer parking bays in this car park. And then I'll put 5% on the 2 at the end on portals 7 and 8. And that sums to my 100, which we need as a total for the parking bays. So all the demand is going to be coming to this zone and is going to be split into the parking bays by those percentages, and the same for the demand leaving the zone. With my portals assigned to each link, the next step is then to actually select the links and set them to have parking bays on them. So I can do that in one step by selecting all of the links in one go, going to my properties, and at the bottom of the properties panel, I can choose a parking type, which in this case is perpendicular. And you can see the parking bays appear on each link. Now, each of the parking bays are a predefined size, so those are just created automatically as a standard size for a parking bay. So what we need to do next is just move our nodes around a little bit to make sure that the parking bays sit nicely and neatly alongside one another, that they don't overlap and they don't encroach on any other roads on the network. So I'm just moving my nodes around a little bit, and I'll do this quite quickly and roughly to get this right so that it looks quite good. So it's quite easy and straightforward to do, and as you can see, when I move the nodes, all of those bays move automatically and give me a clear sense of where the vehicles are going to end up. So I'm happy enough with that. I can now save this model, knowing that I've got my bays, I've got my zone portals. I'm going to go to my Visualize tab. I'll refresh. That will load all the bays into the Visualize tab, and then I'm going to start the simulation and see what happens. So we can start to see the first vehicles arriving into the car park and parking, and they'll be choosing those parking bays based on the percentages that we set for the zone portals. They will choose the spaces within those bays randomly, and they will also either move head first or reverse in randomly. And the same when they're leaving the bay, they will pull out head first or reverse depending on how they entered that bay. Now, just like the on-street parking, which we looked at in the last video, when a vehicle is parking, the other vehicles around it will respond accordingly. So they will slow down and stop to allow that vehicle to park. And similarly, when a vehicle is pulling out, it will be aware of the vehicles around it and so look for a space to do that. So the parking very much has an impact on the behavior of the vehicles around that, and it induces some small delay, just like you would expect in real life. Now, one thing just to be aware of with this new parking feature is that vehicles will only park in bays on the side of the road that they're driving. So with a left-hand traffic model like this, vehicles will only be parking in the bays on the left-hand side of that road. And the same in a right-hand traffic model, it will be on the right-hand side of the road. So just something to be aware of when using this feature. So I hope you can see how useful and powerful this feature is to really model car parking properly and effectively show all of the visual impact of car parking within your models. Thank you so much for joining us again today and watching this video tutorial. I hope it's been useful and that you're looking forward to trying this feature out when Paramics Discovery 24 is launched later in the summer. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.